Today, we've got Sevan Mercy, healer, ritualist, and devoted student of the mystical traditions. Their path weaves through Peruvian curanderismo, Bacchic Orphism, Tibetan Chod, Shakta Tantra, and ancestral lineage healing, making them a true bridge between all of the worlds, higher and lower, and everything in between. With very deep and heartfelt initiations and transmissions across multiple sacred lineages, Sev brings us a rich perspective on healing, ritual, the unseen realms, and, unexpectedly, parenting. We speak a lot about the transformative path of being a parent in this episode. And so Sev has been a longtime internet friend of mine. The lore is pretty deep, as you will hear, and so I really just want this episode to speak for itself. I won't say too much more. Let's get into it. Okay, here
All
we are.
right.
We navigated the digital turmoil
We
and have
did
arrived
it.
here. We've
Cool.
arrived here. So I'm so excited to hear your story. I feel like I have been following you on Instagram forever, actually. Like when I think about my organic abundance life, I really feel like you were like one of the first people I followed. I just feel so ancient in my lore, actually.
Yeah, I was there. I was there when you had like 30 followers. That
It's
was me.
ancient lore. It's ancient lore.
It is.
Yeah.
I could be like a priest in your temple. Organic abundance.
Stop it. Oh my God. But yeah, I say all of that to say that like I'm just so excited to hear your story and learn
Yeah,
about you.
thank you. I'm excited to hear my story too.
Yeah. It's good. It's so good to tell your story.
It is. There's this like a mentor and a dear friend of mine used to do this ceremony. I think she would call it, oh shit, star something. Um, but essentially, you would share your whole story to someone, and it'll be different than what we do today. But you start from the very beginning, share every little thing you want to share from like start to where you are now, and it can be a really healing, important process.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Mhm.
I even think just like when I think I want to spend time on you, but this is just randomly coming up right now. I'm just thinking like over the years of telling stories about what I've been through so many times, it's almost like literally in the act of saying it out loud so many times, it stops feeling like such a big deal
Yeah,
in
yeah.
my head. Is that anything that you got out of that process?
I think so. Yeah, and it's like the stories feel like they're alive, or and maybe if they're older stories, they want to move on, but they have a hard time if we haven't said them aloud or shared them, and or like made who we are known through the story. Yeah.
Hmm. Oh
So
yeah.
maybe a little bit of that here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like revisit and it's almost like when you remaster a movie
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and you remaster the memory. Yeah.
And I kind of have the tendency to like, I don't have a lot of memories of childhood, and I've done so many things in my life that I'll forget about things that I'm like, oh shit, I did that. Oh
I feel
wow,
you.
like
I
that's a
feel you.
big deal. I can't, why did and I'm not someone that counts my like accomplishments or talks about them, which I'm isn't like a brag. I'm just like, I can't hold it all. So
I'm the same way.
yeah, so when you like asked me to do this, I was like, damn, like what, who am I? Like
No, I
what
know.
is life?
I usually hear white noise when anyone asks me that question,
Yeah.
but we're going to talk about it together
Yay. I think that'll be
and
helpful.
it's going to come out.
Mhm.
And so I do want to start. I just wanted to ask you, like, do you have any wins, like a recent win, something that is small or big that you're proud of or happy with?
Mhm. Okay. So over the holiday season, I felt really good about not fawning. So if there is like a conversation happening that I didn't agree with, I would say something about it. but personally, my challenge is I will often say something anyway, but my challenge is to not say it in an angry way and be all like, uh, I know better than you, or like, what's wrong with you kind of thing. So that's what I've had to work on. But I was able to bring more questions to the person whose opinion and viewpoint I opposed, which I feel like was a big win for me.
Yay, that's a huge win.
To not just be like, you're wrong, and to be like, well, why do you think that? You know?
Huge win. Oh my God. My win is like taking solid poops after I eat like ramen. So
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that is.
that's my win. So so let's start this spiritual biography together. I would just love to hear in your own words, kind of like, how do you describe yourself spiritually? What's your
Mm-hmm.
path? Like, what's your practice? And I'd love to know.
Yeah. So I think in as far as having a label, probably a yogi, and maybe a mystic, but I don't know if I would ever actually say that to anyone except you and everyone who's going to hear this. um,
Actually,
so
wait, does
everyone,
the yogi feel like the public word and then the mystic is like a private word? Like I
so probably, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then maybe there are other words that have more like stigma to them that I don't feel comfortable using yet either. But I might be helpful to talk about my practices and the lineages that I'm a part of. So I'm an initiated Orpheotellist is what it's called, which is like lineage holder in a Bacchic Orphic tradition called the Starry Crown. And I can go into the story of that initiation, which was wild and
Okay,
very,
yeah. Wait, is that where
um,
starry serpent comes from?
yeah, sort of. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, keep going. I'm like
yeah.
fascinated. I'm locked in now. I need to know.
That's good. Got you. And I have teachers and practices in the like in practices through direct transmission in the Pranya Paramita and like Chod tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. Um, I studied for 3 years with my teacher Bill Humphrey, who's an initiated Mesa carrier in the Quero or Peruvian tradition. You could call it like Quero shamanism, but they don't have the word shamanism. Um, and what else? Studied Ashtanga yoga, like asana, for quite a long time. And I'd say also probably Shakta Tantra, even though I don't have um, like a guru or a place that I like go to or like a community or anything like that, but in my own self study.
Mhm.
And currently, I'm in a year-long course with Daniel Four of ancestral medicine, and it's an ancestral medicine healing practitioner or lineage healing practitioner course, and we're about like halfway in or so, and it's pretty challenging and rigorous, but in the best way. I really admire him as a spiritual leader and a teacher, so I'm quite excited about that.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm here. You just said like a lot of things.
yeah, yeah. So when you ask like
No,
like,
totally.
I'm just like, well,
Yeah. Yeah, but I almost hear somebody who's like really interested in like study and like diversity of views and like different approaches. Like, does that feel true for you?
yeah, definitely. And from a very, very young age, I have been. And I think part of it is a this like inner and like eternal seeker, like seeking what? Like the truth, I
Mm.
guess, seeking God. And so it's led me down a lot of different paths, like some pretty dangerous and dark paths, some pretty beautiful things. It's almost like my soul wants to experience like as many things as possible, to be like, well, is this is also God too then, right? And this is also God, so like, but what makes me feel closest to God?
Mm.
um
Mm.
so I've and I think like even with the practices I've mentioned, there hasn't been much that I like do consistently, like every single day. So there's like there's like phases or seasons to my practices.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, out of all the things that you named, if there's one that feels like most at the forefront, or if they all kind of come to the front depending on what's happening in your life.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I do try to keep up with the Pranya Paramita uh, meditation. I try to do that almost every day. And that feels really, really good. So that's something that I have stuck with, and I'm gonna, like, the best that I can continue to stick.
Hmm.
And then another thing I should mention is probably like being a parent, becoming a mother is the most important and like far-reaching spiritual practice that I am engaged. It's like my commitment to parenting is what allows me to experience like God through my child. And the more that my child changes, the more I'm asked to change. And it's like the dependence that a child has on the parent is like a spiritual necessity. I think people would say, like, see it as a negative thing, like, oh, kids are so helpless, they're so like dependent on the parent, and that's really difficult and challenging. But I think it like creates the container or the grounds for like experiencing unity or oneness with another being. And if I can experience oneness with another being, then I will be able to see and experience God.
That's literally something that my guru says.
Really?
Yeah, if you can experience total harmony and oneness with one person, that sets the stage for you to be able to do it with everyone.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, that's being a mom. That's like experiencing that with my child and seeing myself as a spiritual guide that has more experience but not more value. And and I think like, oh, and I think in that oneness is like this really learning what like the spiritual platitude of to give is to receive. That I feel really strongly in being a parent. So it's like there's so much giving,
Infinite giving.
infinite giving, and so this is like maybe off topic kind of, but no, it's not. So like, and that's I find that also in having two autoimmune diseases. So with my autoimmune disease, if my body's barrier isn't able to tell what an invading cell is and what my cell is, that's like an issue of boundaries of like between me and this other person. And some people say like, oh, the kind of people that say like every illness has a spiritual like uh, beginning or something like that. So people will say autoimmune diseases, oh, it's a boundary issue. It's like giving too much. And I'm like, no, because what if giving to others is the same as giving to myself? So I don't believe that. But of course, we also have like human bodies that we have to have boundaries. So so there's that too. But with parenting, I'm like, no, but I have to give. This kid needs me. And there's something so profound in that giving that I don't find anywhere else, because the love here is unconditional. The love I have for my kid. I don't require him to unconditionally love me, but I feel that towards him. And when he was born, I was like, this is it. Like when I gave birth to him and he was put on, this little tiny wet babe was put against my chest, I was like, this is it. This is the way that like the great mother that Ma loves us. This is exactly it. Like I get it. I get it.
Oh, that's so
Even
beautiful.
no, even to the point of like I know that like, so there will be times where I try not, I'm not angry, but I'll be firm, and like
Yeah.
Ma is like firm with us,
Yes.
and it's like, how many terrible things have I done in my life? And like, God does not turn away from me. So I'm going to be the same to my kid.
Oh yeah, you're like dancing as like a microcosmic version of her through the relationship with your son.
Exactly. And it's like, there's no other spiritual practice I have where I have, besides maybe like actual possession, where I felt the divine
Mm.
so close. And it makes me think about how like it's easy to to feel the presence of God in like big, huge ceremonies or like large doses of entheogenic drugs. And it's like, oh, yes, we're all connected, we're this and that. But it's really hard to feel that when there's a pile of dishes in the sink or when I'm trying to take a poop win and my kid keeps coming in to the bathroom to show me some like some trick he's doing, which is just like him standing on one foot, you know? So it's like it's harder to feel love and to embody the divine in moments like that. So
But you
for me,
keep coming back to it. You keep coming back to it. You keep coming back to it.
yeah,
Something keeps you coming back. Do you think it's that love? That unconditional love?
yeah, which I think is like that, and that's a gift from God because it's like without that strong unconditional love, like yeah, it would be like I love my partner, but I have conditions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wouldn't give in the same way I give to my child
Mm-hmm.
and will give for the rest of my life
Mm-hmm.
and beyond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've never had a biological child, but yeah, I've always kind of felt intuitively like it's gotta just be, it's not a belief, it's an experience. Like it's just like you don't understand it until you've had the experience. Like you're describing
Yeah.
like a classic, you just gotta experience it.
Yeah, you got to
Like I
try.
can never intellectually understand, like, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
hear you. It's so beautiful and it makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I think there's versions of it in being a step parent too. Because before I had my biological child, I spent a lot of time with my step kid, and there's still there's those feelings too,
Mhm.
in different ways, but of like this stepping into this spiritual guide role or this like
Mhm.
mentor role, especially as a step parent, because then there's this unique relationship opportunity with the kid because if there are other caregivers, like as they get older, there might be things that they have a harder time sharing with them. But if you're there, you can create this
Mhm.
channel of
Like
communication.
another voice that isn't their actual
Yeah,
parents.
exactly.
Totally. Oh yeah, no, I feel that. I can feel like I think I've just accepted. Okay, just for everyone listening, I'm a step parent, and this is something that you and I have exchanged about.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I can feel that unconditional love. Just I think it's just the way that it is. It's something that has to grow. It's not baked into me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Yeah,
didn't grow her inside of me for 9 months, you know what I'm saying? But I can feel it
sure.
growing, but I'm not going to delude myself into thinking I just have that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
she's not my kid, you know? I
Yeah,
don't know if that makes sense.
it totally does. And I think that's super wise. I think it's wise to be really realistic about it instead of delusional of like, oh yeah, 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 I do. Because if you don't feel it, then that's okay. That's
Yeah,
okay.
totally.
Mhm.
Totally. Anywho, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm hearing you
yeah.
share I'm a yogi, I'm a mystic, I'm part of all of these traditions. The first one that you said, I can't even say it back to you because I have literally never heard that before in my life. I'm so excited to hear what that is. And then also the path and the practice of motherhood and being a parent
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So having said those things, maybe I'll share two stories, one before I was born and then one at my birth.
Yes.
Yeah, this will be the first time I'm saying these publicly. I've told friends and stuff.
Really? Oh,
I
I'm
don't
so
want
honored.
to seem like I'm saying like I'm hot shit, if I say this. So I've been wanting to say it. So one is that when I was 8 months pregnant, no, sorry, when my mom was 8 months pregnant with me, we were in California. So that's where I was born. And my dad was a fundraiser working with, I think, the Hunt's ketchup family. And the Dalai Lama had just won the Nobel Peace Prize. This was 1989. And he was friends with the Hunt's like family. And there was some sort of conference. I don't remember exactly. It was like consciousness and about consciousness and invited various like religious leaders and stuff. So he was at this after party and he noticed my mom was pregnant and came up to her and he took his right hand in her, put it in her hand and put his left hand on her belly and then his forehead to her forehead. And she said she felt like electricity through her head and in her womb. And then he left, and that was it. So I was blessed by the Dalai Lama, which is cool, but also lots of people are blessed by the Dalai Lama.
Seven
But
billion people on Earth. That's still a pretty unique karma. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. So that's cool. And
Your mom got Shakti pot from fucking the Dalai Lama. Come
yeah.
on, are you kidding? Anyway, keep going.
And so, okay, so when I was born, my mother stayed at the hospital by herself. My dad left because he had to work, which is like that's the next however many years of his in my life is he just was all away working, my dad.
Oh, so
So
your
my
dad
mom,
didn't leave the relationship, but he like left soon after you were born to go to work, or
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, they did eventually divorce, but because he worked a whole lot. He loves work. But she was there alone in the middle of the night. I guess I was in the nursery and she wanted to, in the middle of the night, she felt the urge to go and get me. So she went to get me and brought me back to the room. And when she came back to the room, she said she looked up and she saw there was like rows of spirits. She called them angels. And some were there for her, some were there for me. And she said they were all smiling. And she was smiling too. And she was like, oh, isn't she so beautiful? And then all of a sudden, all the spirits and my mom felt this, were just taken over by this feeling of doom and like terror. And she said the spirits all looked towards the door. And she said she could feel that something was coming down the hall to get me, was coming for me. Yeah. And so she's like holding me and praying, being like, you're not welcome here. You cannot have her, blah, like this, that's the whatever. And then she like opens her eyes and it's gone and all the spirits are gone too. So there's also that. So maybe the blessing was so that creature, that entity wouldn't come and get me.
Wow, is that your interpretation?
No, I don't know, but I have no idea.
Yeah,
I
that's so
wonder if
interesting.
on my mom's side of the family, so we're Lebanese Armenian, and there are on my grandmother's side, there's a lot of like psychics and faith healers. And there are a lot of family stories about people that had certain abilities that abused these abilities that got them taken away, and lots of family curses.
Oh, like generational trauma.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder
Mm.
like there's something there. And a lot of people
Oh,
who had gifts but were afraid to use them out of like being persecuted.
oh, of course.
Yeah. So I feel
Oh.
like maybe it's something like that, but sure.
Yeah, I almost like, okay, are you open to like my thought that doesn't need to matter?
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I hear that story, just even given the context of like the Dalai Lama blessing and all these sorts of things, is like I almost feel like it was like a karma got broken in that moment.
Mm.
It feels like a karma ended, or like the karma transformed through the
Yeah.
blessing process, because karmas can change through blessings. And so, yeah, it's almost like she is so scared and then it like goes away and it's all gone. It's just kind of like when a mala breaks and it's like, okay, I guess we're gonna do something different. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. When you said like when a mala breaks it, that's what it feels like.
Mhm. Wow.
Yeah. So that kind of that set the stage for my life in a way. Um, and my mom says that I don't have many memories of my childhood, but my mom says that I was really into new age occult and spiritual stuff. So we lived in California, and there'd be some like occult new age stores that we'd go into, and I was maybe 5 or 6, and we went into one, and there's this book called The Reluctant Shaman. And she said that I really wanted it, that I was crying and crying. So she got it and she read it to me as a bedtime story.
What a bedtime story.
I know, right?
Oh my
And then,
God.
like, she got me my first tarot deck when I was like 8 years old. And oh, I still have it. There's this like crystal and silver wand with think green Tara at the top that I wanted also when I was a kid, and I still have it.
Oh, you were just like drawn towards it.
I really was. And I was baptized Armenian Orthodox, and we went to the church sometimes, like especially with my grandma. And then I went to Catholic school from third grade through high school, where you had to go to church, especially in grade school and middle school. Every Wednesday, you had to go to church. And my dad was sort of Catholic, but also pretty Buddhist. So my sister and I, we grew up around my father, like meditating regularly. And I don't remember this, but we visited the Yogananda Institute in Northern California quite a lot when I was a baby. My parents said they almost moved there. So it was around.
I'm hearing you say that you like grew up in like a very spiritually supportive environment, like parents that were like into that, supportive of you doing that, and like from a really young age, you were just like drawn to stuff and you didn't even
Mhm.
consciously do it. Like you were just like, oh, I like this. Like it
Yeah,
sounds like a really early start for you, which
yeah,
makes sense given the generational like samskara of like I come from like a lineage of like
yeah,
spiritual
yeah,
people, right? Like that just makes a lot of sense to me.
yeah. Um, and I think that going to Catholic school messed me up a lot because even though I got in a lot of trouble for asking questions in class. Um,
Mm.
I remember asking something simple like, well, if God didn't want Eve to eat the apple, why did he keep it on earth? Why didn't he just hide it?
Mm.
So things like
That's a good question.
that, right? Like 8 years old and like 8, 9 years old. And my teacher did not like that. And at teacher conferences, she told my mom that I was disrupting the class, but my mom was proud of me, thankfully. So I'm very grateful that I had um, supportive parents in that way that weren't like embarrassed or anything about things I was interested in.
Mhm.
Very, very grateful for that.
Mhm.
But it took a lot of unlearning like shame and guilt from the Catholic Church. There's just a whole lot. And I don't even know where I got it because it's not like I listened to the sermons and knew what was really being said, but there was a
Mhm.
part of me that knew like there's something about this that is not okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember thinking that red was a bad color because it's the devil's color for like a short period of time.
That's funny.
Or
And then
like,
you're a Shakta down the road, and red is the color of the Divine Mother.
yeah, yeah, right, right. So lots of like little strange things.
Yeah.
And then in high school, my dad's longtime girlfriend was a sound healer and a Reiki master. So she would do sessions with me and show me that kind of stuff and uh, got me some of my other like oracle decks, I guess, that I still have. One is like an Osho oracle deck, which I love it. So there's a lot of like even there was indirect influence from my father just with his meditation practices, but he was pretty emotionally unavailable. um, and my mother didn't have any direct like practices that were influential, and she was in and out of our lives a lot from middle school to high school. So I felt pretty alone for a lot of my childhood because there were these things I was really, really interested in and wanted to learn more about, but didn't have any access to it. And when we moved from California, which was by my mother's side of the family, the Armenian side, to Wisconsin, where I am now, with my father's side of the family, the like European side, um, I think there was a pretty big soul loss there because I went from being pretty deeply steeped in Lebanese and Armenian culture, like eating the food, being around the language, to none of that, to pretty white Midwestern.
Oh God, what a turn.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah.
Oh God.
And so I didn't realize this till maybe a few years ago about how like devastating that probably was in a way I didn't understand. So there's a lot of loneliness, real lonely. Like I think I was pretty depressed as a child. Um,
Yeah. Okay, can
and
I pause you? How old were
yeah,
you when you moved? Was it in high school?
I was 8 years old.
Oh, so you moved like young.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, totally.
There was 6. Yeah.
Oh
But
yeah, and
then,
then that's too young to really make sense of anything.
yeah, yeah.
That's way
Mhm.
too young, but the impact is still there.
Yes. Mhm.
Hmm.
And then high school. So there were people in my, like my dad's girlfriends, I remember being really supportive. Like one also when I was younger, like 9 or so, she was, um, I think she was probably like a Wiccan. I think I remember her saying that. And she would do little spells with me sometimes. So I look back and am really grateful for my dad's girlfriends who saw me. Even the one that was the sound healer and Reiki master. I still talk to her, and she said she was like, "Oh yeah, I knew you were weird right away," and like felt for me because my father was a pretty emotionally unavailable person and like not engaged. So I'm very grateful.
She
That,
saw you.
yeah, she really did. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then through her I made other connections and other teachers and kind of and found my way,
Hmm.
and I'd say like two it's a period of, yeah, so like so 3 years, so 2017, 18, and 19. 2017 was my first experience with ayahuasca, and I sat in ceremony about 12 times with my mentors and good friends, one of them who is passed a couple years ago. And I'm so grateful for that experience because it felt very authentic and very respectful, and opened, I think healed a lot of physical, physical issues that I was having at the time in a profound way, and opened my heart up to there like being more, this like part of life or finding God that I was really searching for and had like a little like a taste of. And I was like, oh, that's it. I want more of it. How can I bring that into my everyday life? Um, and then in 2018, I was invited by a dear friend of mine who I've known since high school to join this class he was teaching called The Toys of Dionysus. And the toys are these 10 initiatory spirits under the, um, like overseen, I guess you could say, though they are still wild and on their own, overseen by Dionysus. And this course is a process of meeting them one by one and kind of opening up to allowing them to change your life. And my life has changed during
Mm.
meeting one of them, Mela, which is the golden apple, and like the flowering aspect of Dionysus, like the impulse of life, is
Mm.
when I got pregnant.
Mm.
And I was not like really planning it. We were like maybe in a couple years, yeah, but it was definitely like a divinely guided thing. I'm certain of it because it happened, yeah, during the like in the period of meeting the spirit that rules like life and growth and like a
Oh.
seed to flower and
Mm.
things like
Yeah.
um and then after completing that, I was eligible for initiation. So I just found out I was pregnant. So it was about, I think, a month or two pregnant, and flew out to San Francisco to join my friend and some of the other members in the initiation process. And unfortunately, I can't give too many details
It's
about
fine.
it. Yeah. But I can say that it involved being like on the edge of a cliff over the ocean, like at night, and it was it was like really intense, and quite amazing. And during that visit too, I experienced my first possession, like carrying a deity, and that was pretty remarkable. I wasn't able to Well, so what I have learned is that everyone carries deities in different ways. Like some people, their consciousness is not present for it, is not online, and they don't remember anything that happened. Some people do. Some people it's like half and half. For me, it was more like half and half, but it's probably because I was pregnant. And so I remember being like supported in opening to carry the deity, And the person helping me was doing this like inquiry, and I remember responding and not even like it's not what I intended to respond. It just like came through me saying like, oh well, she's nervous because of the baby, like she doesn't want to let go fully of the baby. Like I'm saying this to the other person but talking about myself. um so and it's like even saying this now though, I'm like, oh yeah, like that happened, oh yeah, I did that. But it's almost like I have all of these experiences. There's like other things I could name.
Well, can I just point something out?
Yeah.
We went from you're 8 years old and you moved to Wisconsin to 2017. And so I'm just kind of wondering, like,
What
what
happened
was
in
it like for you when you were a teenager? What was it like for you in your early 20s? Like what was happening in that space?
yeah, teenage years, pretty tough, but like, but also I had a lot of really good friends, got into some trouble. I think one of the more difficult times was, so I was raped when I was 16, but I didn't tell anyone about it for like 6 months or so. Um, and then I think soon after that, like broke up with a lot of my friends because they were partying and I just wasn't wanting to like get wasted all the time and do hella drugs. And I think also then that kind of that like 16, 17 launched me into this like serial relationship for the next like, I don't know, several years, where that's the container I was trying to find love in and like meaning, this relationship with another. But being so young and having no concept of boundaries or of like what I really want and what is like what a good relationship looks like, it
Oh,
was a disaster, just terrible.
I'm
Terrible.
watching Euphoria for the first time right now, and I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm immersing myself in that nonsense
Yeah.
of young love and drugs and all these things. Yeah.
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
saying that's what you were doing. I'm just like I have those sense impressions on my mind a lot right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, oh, I have a lot of compassion for that young part of me, because it's like so clear that she was really looking for a sense of like self-worth and love and wanting to love, like having a lot of love to give, um and being in pretty like inappropriate and some abusive relationships. And it took me a while to get out of that and be like, oh, it doesn't have to be like that. Like I don't have to just stay in something just because I said I started out saying I would.
Oh
um
yeah.
and like understanding, learning, yeah, still even now still learning about boundaries, which I think
Oh
is tricky.
yeah.
Like the spiritual stuff comes super easy for me. It's the human dynamics that are I'm a little more clumsy with.
Yeah, totally that integration.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like gonna say this, like I almost feel like it's like your soul's path. It's almost like you've probably done so much of the spiritual stuff like so many times. And then now it's like we're in this whatever we've incarnated into now. It's like this realm of like, okay, let's take that spiritual knowledge into the 3D and like
Yeah.
marry them together like really intensely.
Yes, for sure. Which like brings me back to parenting, because it's like so it's
Yes.
both, you know? And I'm like, because without going into like the details of the terrible things I've done, but I'm like I was a sex worker, addicted to drugs for a period of time. Like I've done a lot of crazy travel, like been in like bad car accidents that were my fault. And like, so a lot of like bad stuff that I've overcome and like cleared shame around. And I'm like, I have a lot that I can give to my child as far as like love goes, because I've experienced so much. I've been to really, really low lows. So I, as a mother, can hold the place of like, and I don't mean this in a like a self-righteous or a vain way, but I can hold this identity of like divine mother in a way that is unconditionally loving and supportive. So like if I'm anticipating my 16, 17-year-old kid doing some like, making some mistakes, and I'll be able to be like, hey, I've been there.
Hmm.
I love you no matter what you do.
Hmm.
So I feel like with what you said, it's the like parenting, and I say this for anyone who cares for a child in any capacity. It can also be like teachers. I think I would also consider caregivers like have this holy, like sacred duty to unite these spiritual and very human physical world experiences and values through the act of caregiving. And it has to be grounded in love, which doesn't mean, just do whatever you want or let the kid do whatever they want and never say no. It's not that. It's like this quality or frequency of understanding that there is a pretty sacred contract here, and that it's a spiritual relationship, like a spiritual partnership, and that I too, as caregiver, am benefiting and growing and transforming through this like purity, this like pure connection to the divine that the child embodies in ways that they don't know, but me and my experience, like, thankfully have the wisdom to see.
Yeah, I'm almost hearing you say that like you feel like because of everything you've been through, because of all the mistakes you've made, because of the so-called terrible things you've done, like you feel like you're bringing all of that into the now and helping your child integrate these things as well, and like using all of that wisdom to be a
Yeah,
better parent.
yeah, and like and the good things too. Not to say that I've just only done
It was a bender of 15 years of just terror.
right.
It could have been. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Raising hell, yeah. I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, well, when you were a teenager, like, did you put like the spiritual desire, like the oracle decks, like all this kind of stuff, like on the back burner? Were you hiding it from your friends? Were you open about it?
That's a really good question, and I honestly don't remember. I think that I probably was hiding it and maybe a little embarrassed about it, so I didn't fully explore it. Though I did have, so that my dad's girlfriend Joan, she would still do sound baths with me and connected me with this other woman, Carrie Luce, who taught me about like shamanic journeying. So she taught me how to do that. Or like you could also call it active imagination work or journey work. And I don't know when or how old I was. I think maybe I was 19 or 20 or so. But that was pretty profound. So there are things that kept me tied to this spiritual life.
Oh, I feel that. Yeah,
And
because
I
also we're around the same age, and like when we were in high school, it was like not cool to be like
no,
into witchy occult shit.
right. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was like a recipe for getting bullied. So,
Yeah. So I was like, hell no. Like I'm like that's lame. I'm not gonna do that. Though I do remember my childhood best friend, who now goes by the name Paris. We were maybe 9, 10 years old, and I remember us. This is like one of the few memories I have. We would play Dionysus and Apollo like in my backyard. So I'd be Dionysus. I'm like 10 years old. How did I like
such a
years?
high level thing to try to do when you're 10 years old.
Oh my god! And I'd pretend to be like wasted. We'd make little like as berries that we would not eat because we knew they were poisonous. But and so like being initiated years later into this Bacchic Orphic tradition,
Yes.
that's mostly focused on Dionysus, but some other Mediterranean deities. It was like, oh, it's been there. He's like been there all
Oh,
along.
totally. Oh my God, I hear so much grace in all of your story, just kind of like, even though you were embarrassed in high school because of just like society at the time, you still had some figures in your life who were like keeping you
Mm,
clued in.
yeah.
And then like your this the interest that you had as a kid, it's like foreshadowing. Like it's all so interesting.
That's a really beautiful way to put it. And it kind of makes my heart feel lighter. Like it moves from like less loneliness to like, no, like, no, Grace was there all along. And I,
The
and I
whole time.
know, like intellectually, I know that, but to hear it said in that way and about my younger self, it feels really good to hear
Yeah.
that. Yeah. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, just sitting with that. and I and I feel like there's there's so much that I maybe don't allow myself to fully own about who I am and the things that I have experienced and like the training that I have and the like my skill set that I've worked pretty hard for. Because there's this maybe still this a bit of fear around being fully seen in that or as that, like still maybe connected to the like the this high schooler part.
Mm. Mm. And the intergenerational stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Right. Where it really was truly, I think a lot of us probably have some aspect of that, of somewhere down the line, our ancestors were punished for practice,
Yeah.
their,
Killed.
yeah. I think we all have that in some way.
Mm.
And so holding that of like, okay, learning some ancestral practices, but also knowing that a lot of them were not preserved. So exploring all of these new things, like which I have shared in my kind of spiritual biography. And on top of that, so like looking at all of these traditions, what I'm coming to more recently is that I don't need like a intermediary. Like I don't necessarily like I love the idea of a lineage and I want to like be in one so badly. Like, and I'm in a few, but it comes and goes because there's no local like physical representation
That's
of it.
real.
So I'm like, well, I maybe I don't need it. Like and I think what's happening is that more and more people are being asked to find their connection to the divine in themselves, not
Hmm.
being a leader who says like, no, I am the voice of God,
Yeah.
but themselves finding that voice within. So there's this other part of me that's like, I am so grateful for these tools that I have and these practices. And also how much of it is me giving my power over to someone else
Mm.
instead of doing like the real deep and difficult work
Mm.
of acknowledging and accepting my ability to connect with
Mm.
God just
Yeah.
as who I am,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
I'm in a like plant medicine ceremony or doing my dishes.
Hmm. Hmm. So would you say that's like a place that you're at now? Like you're feeling more comfortable with like it's okay that I'm not choosing a specific lineage. It's like you feel more comfortable with that now?
Yeah, I would say so. To the point where I'm even like I've been redoing my altars, like clearing everything off and then being
Mm.
really intentional about what I put on, like
Yeah.
kind of Marie Kondo style of like, does bring me spiritual connection, you know?
Oh, no, that's so funny, Marie Kondo with the spiritual connection. That's so funny.
Yeah, and it works because there's some things where I'm like, I don't know why I have this on here.
Mhm.
Like, is it because it looks pretty, or there's like a, or maybe its time has passed and I can release it or pass it on.
Wow, I think that's gonna live in my head forever now. This Marie Kondo, does it spark God?
Yeah, it doesn't spark.
That is so funny. Okay, sorry. I'm like gonna be
You can,
obsessed with that. I will credit you if I ever say that anywhere. That is so funny.
and I encourage everyone to try it with like the spiritual items they have in their lives and in their house because then it's like it's a good way to determine what was put there out of this like more spiritual materialism of like it's the trinkets that have the power instead of just like no, it's my
Yes.
earnestness,
Yes.
it's my sincerity, my devotion.
Yes.
Oh, and
Yes.
that devotion. So honestly, again, it's like parenting, but really above that, devotion. It's devotion and surrender are my two biggest spiritual practices. And honestly, like that's it. That's like really it for me.
I love that. Wait,
And
have I ever told you what the three ingredients for spiritual success are, like from the point of view of my tradition?
no.
Surrender, devotion, and perseverance, which I
Hey,
would say you probably have some of that. I would say you probably got a little bit of that.
love to hear it. And it's like, and when I, in saying it now, I'm like, yeah, that like surrender and devotion. Why do I forget? Like, that's
Mm,
me all day, every day.
mm,
And it's a practice, of course,
mm,
because it's like, it's the difference between with surrender. It's like, it's not apathy. It's not just like, oh, well, whatever, different. It's like, no, like God, I have faith. I
mm,
trust what's
mm,
happening now, no matter how hard it is. I
mm.
trust instead of like, oh, well, this is just like how it's going to be. There's a different energy in either of those
More
things.
dynamic.
Yeah. And more
Mm.
active.
Active, totally. I tell people this all the time when I'm teaching about surrender. Surrender is active.
Yes. Yeah.
It's an
And
active process, but you hear it and you think it's passive.
right, right. And that's why, yeah. So when I talk to people about it too, I try to make that difference. I'm like, it's not apathy there, because there's that passive, the passive way of thinking about it is like, yeah, well, that's what's meant to be will be. Oh well, I can't change it, whatever. You're like, no, that's not it. That's not surrender. And that's like, and I love that it's those are the three because it makes so much sense. So it's like take that, and then sure, like if there's a lineage or a set of teachings or principles or whatever that feel really good, go for it. But like keeping the surrender, devotion, and perseverance at the core.
Oh, totally. They're like the anchors of the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
They're the anchors of the whole thing. Totally.
And I think could be applied to really anything, any situation in someone's life. So it's like
Mm.
if someone isn't able to find a lineage, and I think that's a lot of people because so many of us are
Trust me, it is. I hear this all the time.
yeah. So it's like, okay, that's fine. What if you don't need one?
Yeah,
What if,
totally. Oh my God, totally. Yeah, can I just share a little bit of what I'm thinking when you're saying
yeah.
all this? Yeah, like because I'm you're part of my lore. You're part of my social media lore and like you know that like I kind of like showed up into the digital space and was like very much like, "Yo, guys, have you heard about lineage-based spirituality? Have you heard about being in a lineage?" Because I just was trying to like put a different voice into the new age and
Oh,
like pop spirituality.
yeah.
And so I'm like doing all of that. And then over the years, I almost start creating a conflict within people because they think I'm saying lineage based is best.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But I actually, I'm much more loose now over the years. Thank God. Jaima, she's loosened me up. But it's like, I am part of a lineage. I am part of a specific tradition. I don't really plan on jumping ship unless God is like, it's time for you to jump ship. But it's like, I'm only sticking around because it's fucking working for me.
Hmm.
It
That's
just
right.
works for me. But it's like, I do not think it works for everybody. I do not think my tradition is for everyone. Like at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like being part of the ashram. I don't mean just like learning with me about like tantra, like these sorts of things. I mean like showing up at the ashram, that's not for everyone.
Sure. And like doing the dishes and sweeping the floors and like
Exactly.
really being involved in
Yeah,
the
and
way.
like being under the authority of a guru. This is like the thing that was like really sticking out to me when you were speaking, where it's like, I completely agree with you that we are moving into a paradigm of consciousness where people are waking up to the fact that I don't need someone outside of me to tell me that I have God inside of me.
Right. Because that's how cults happen.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they're
Paradoxically, though, there is a spiritual technology to being under the authority of a qualified guru.
for sure. And
But
we've
we don't
talked
want to pretend that's not real.
right. Yeah. And I believe that 100%. And that sometimes, and that is not for everyone because it's like, it's a lot harder than people think. And you're going to be told,
Yeah.
want to hear. And people don't like that.
You're gonna run away all the time, not because they're doing anything wrong. That's just the nature of the relationship.
Right. Right. And so I think like I am so glad you did put that information out there because I think it was important for people, even if they didn't think, okay, I need a lineage. I think at least they thought I need to be careful, more careful about what it is I'm getting into,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really
Or
important.
more discerning.
Discerning. Yeah, that's the word.
More
Mhm.
discerning, yeah, because I think the thing I've really been trying to teach people is like there's an outcome to whatever tradition you enter into. So, what outcome do you want?
Yeah.
Every tradition is going to give you a different experience in your consciousness. So, just like ask yourself, like, what do I want from the spiritual life. And then traditions become kind of avenues to explore different states of consciousness,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? I mean, has that been your experience even with like the initiatory tradition with the Orphic stuff? Like it
Mhm.
unlocked certain doors in your consciousness?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, yeah, definitely. And it also provided something that I did want at the time in my spiritual life.
Hmm.
Uh, and still do, and it's still there, but it's like it's expanding and growing towards something different. And
Hmm.
I also wonder, because I love the word discernment and I think about it all the time because I think it's like it's a more evolved form of like judgment. Uh,
Yes, totally. I love
and
that. Yeah.
yeah, and I think a lot of people have a really hard time with it.
Hmm.
It's different than judgment, and it requires like knowing what you want and knowing yourself and being able to attune
Hmm.
to going on in other people, and not everyone
Hmm.
capacity. So I wonder, like, do you have any thoughts on discernment for like what discernment 101?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just hearing you use the word judgment versus discernment, and just what came into my mind is that discernment is just judgment plus wisdom.
Mm. Ooh, yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
then the question becomes, where do we
Mhm.
get the wisdom from? Our lived experiences, for sure. And then also like philosophy or traditions or elders, like real elders,
Mhm.
right? And so I would say discernment is, this is literally off the cuff right now, just like judgment plus wisdom.
Yeah, I love that. That feels right. Mhm.
Hmm.
And then like I think also the more devoted you are, some of that wisdom comes from God to them.
Definitely.
So it is like the hand of grace in a way that
Oh, definitely.
no, no, not that.
Oh, definitely.
Mhm.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And that's related to devotion. Yeah, like just like you're saying, and faith. When I teach about devotion, I kind of say devotion and faith are almost like synonyms. Does that feel true for you?
Yeah, I would say so.
Even
Mhm.
though devotion itself is like bhakta. It's like I love God. Like devotion is like love for God, but it's also faith in just kind of like this like I trust you no matter what you do
Yeah,
sort of a
yeah.
feeling. Hmm.
And I like I I wonder, I have this like impression that people are more open to the word devotion than they are faith because
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
with like religion or like
Well, yeah,
Christian.
I was gonna ask you, like, you went to Catholic school. I'm like, did you have to redefine the word faith for yourself, like, over the years?
Oh yeah, and God, just the word God.
Totally.
Yeah, it was like really tough. I think I'm thinking about it now, but in my high school years, it's like, oh, the word God, I didn't want to think about. I
Mm.
other things like spirit felt better. But yeah, the
Mm.
word took me a while to kind of reclaim it or clear the
Clear the baggage,
yeah,
which is real.
yeah, and I've heard other people talk about that too in a big way, specifically people who were raised in any sort of like Catholic or Christian tradition.
Totally.
So
Yeah, can you remember when you started saying God like more without like neutrally or something?
yeah, it was like I was 20, no, 19 or 20, 21. And I took acid for the first time with this new friend who I had met going to see Amma, the hugging saint. He took me, he's like, let's go. And then we did it.
Oh my God, I would so be there. I've never had a chance. I would be there in a heartbeat.
Oh
Oh
my
my God.
awesome. Yeah. And I was like, love it, love this. You know, she just hugs people. Wow. And I, towards the end of the experience with LSD, I was back at home in my room by myself. And I was like in bed and I saw this like face of a stone, like uh Shiva. And I was like, oh God. And then that kind of was just like, all right, we're good.
Oh, wow.
I have not thought about that until you just asked me it. So thank
Oh,
you.
so it was like in that just moment, all of a sudden, like all of the, we're using the word baggage, like all of the baggage just kind of like disappeared.
Yeah, totally. But like, yeah, I've not ever thought of it in that way. So thank you for
Yeah.
asking.
You're welcome. Oh my God, it's so fun. So wait, what about your 20s? What's happening in your 20s?
Okay. Yeah, 20s was a lot of touring.
Oh, because you're a musician.
Yeah, so I've been playing music in high school. And in high school, it was a lot of like, it was the DIY punk scene. So playing in a lot of like DIY, like little punk house shows and stuff like that. And then when I was 19, I went on my first tour for a couple months with my partner at the time in our little band. And then got into, college. Yeah, I went to college for literature and philosophy at Marquette University. And but it was very hard. I had to make myself do it. My dad was like, even if it feels like dragging yourself through broken glass, just finish.
College.
Yeah. And I did.
Mm.
I wanted to quit all the time, but I did it. So then in my like 23, 24, I joined this group called Rio Turbo. And we were like a kind of surrealist party dance band. And it was very, very fun. It was like performance art to me. And we were pretty popular around like Milwaukee and played a lot of shows. We even got to tour Japan in 2018. Yeah, because of it, which was great. So fun. So I was with them for a long time and in this other band called No No. We did synth, like new wave music. So a lot of bands, a lot of playing shows and kind of partying a bit. And also that's when I was a sex worker. So like 23 to 26 or so on and off. And honestly, I could spend a whole other hour like talking about my experiences there,
I'll
but
bring you back on. I'll bring you
yeah,
back on and we'll do another one. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, Loved it. Glad I did it. Wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It's what I'll say. So I think a lot of like, but I still had these spiritual practices. Like I became a Reiki master. I learned how to read Akashic records, which I don't really do much anymore. It's talk about doing, but it's a part of what I have. So doing a lot of reading of spiritual texts, like whatever I could get my hands on. I think I also started around 25 doing like services for my friends and community. So I would do divination and like energy work.
What was it like for you to come out and like give your services to people?
Mm. It felt really good. Like I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It felt purposeful. I'm like, I have something that I need, like I need to share.
Mm.
And so it felt like a fulfillment of something. And since then it's been like crafting my skills in a way that I can present them as offerings to my community
Yes.
and continually asking like, okay, like how can I be of service? How can I be of service?
Yes.
Really giving it up to God and
Mhm.
providing me with the opportunities and the
That's really meaningful for you to like show up and like help on some level in a spiritual way.
yeah, yeah, it really is. And it's like, and I think I've been there, there was a period of time where I was afraid to really like admit that. Like, I think a lot of my friends and the people that know me would say, like, oh, yeah, like they're a very spiritual person and like they've known that for a long time. But it's taken me a while to really fully accept, like, no, this is what I want to do. Like, I almost can't do anything else.
Oh yeah, like that. Labor, like as using the metaphor, like you're in labor. It's like I can't not do this anymore. It's all
Yeah,
falling away. Does that make sense?
it does. And I'm like, I'm at that point where it's like my day job, I help adults who are in drug and alcohol addiction recovery, and I enjoy the work. And also I'm like, I can't do, I'm almost at a point where I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I need to do
What is
something
it
more.
about it that feels like unsustainable or you can't keep going?
It's because my particular job is working with like providing resources and helping this population access continuing education. So if they want to get their GED or something,
Hmm.
employment. So I have to stay in those lanes. I can do some like life coaching
Oh, is
type.
it like confining? It's like you, oh, I feel
Yeah.
you.
And it's tough because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much more that is needed here than is provided in these like state funded programs.
Mm.
And I can't even be, it's like putting we're putting band-aids on these gaping wounds.
Do you feel like out of integrity because you can't go all in with like
Yeah.
what? Yes, I
Yeah.
feel you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where it comes from, so I'm like, okay. So it's like this, I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, and I don't know how it looks just yet. So here comes, like the faith, like
Yeah.
surrender part is like, and this is usually how it goes, right? It's like I'm pushed to the edge, right to the edge of like, and like in this uncertainty, and then finally at the very last moment is the revelation,
The clarity.
yeah.
The clarity. That labor. That
That,
labor of discomfort.
oh my god, yeah, labor is a really.
Yeah, do you feel like it's just when you think about your day job, it's like the work itself you enjoy, maybe even like the clients that you're working with are really fulfilling, and then the issue is just like the house that it's all in. It's like I can't fully be myself. I can't fully use all of my tools.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. A lot of I love the clients and like
Hmm.
on really well and have good professional relationships. And a lot of them say like comment on how non-judgmental that I am and like judgmental people are, especially around people that are in recovery. And I think like when I can, I'll bring in little bits of like wisdom or information that seems relevant to them. But again, I have to like, I'm not going to do more than I'm getting paid for also.
Oh no, totally. Work your wage.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, I could work with this community. But it would need to be under different circumstances.
Yes. Yes.
Because for some people, it's like job can be really helpful in providing a sense of purpose, but also for some people, it's like the last thing that they need. They need other kinds of support and care.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Especially with like when it comes to addiction, it's like
Mm.
more about why, what was it about this drug that I like, what was I trying to figure out? What puzzle was I trying to solve? And what trying to fill with this experience? What did I love about it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think with a lot of my clients, they're not in therapy. And even if they are, I'm not sure about like how deep people go into questions about like even like intergenerational trauma
Oh,
and addiction,
totally.
alcoholism and stuff, and how that can affect someone. So there's like and like I mentioned, I'm in this ancestral lineage healing training. So I think so much about how ancestors like and ghosts can actually affect our storylines and our behaviors and things like that, and how that can show up in clients. And I'm like, I can't talk about any of this.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wait, so am I also hearing you say that like, okay, you're in the discomfort of feeling like the clothes are too tight? And is there also a feeling of like I'm trying to grow into doing like a private practice for myself or expand my private practice? Because I know that you do your own work, right?
Yeah, yeah. So expand my private practice because I
Mm-hmm.
do clients I see in my private practice, and I I'm wanting to expand it. So there's like this point where I'm not forcing it, but I know that it's
You're
coming.
open to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I know it's coming soon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I think 2025 is going to be such an interesting year, to put things mildly, especially in the United States. We have
Okay.
no clue what's fucking coming. At the same time, I talk to people all the time, and I'm getting this feeling like there's just so many people waking up this year being like, I hate my job. I want to follow my heart and my passion like more than ever. It almost just kind of feels like everyone's waking up at the same time, like, oh my God, I can't keep
Mhm.
doing this anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And good because I don't know how anyone could. Like it's
Totally.
not, it's not. So it's like you're onto something if that's what you're feeling right now. And then what that means is we have to like create and lean on community more, if more and more people are like, I can't do this,
Yes.
I need to follow my heart, then it requires us to build
Yes.
and invest in our communities
Support
more.
systems.
Yeah.
100%. 100% because people stay in their jobs because they don't have a community that can catch them to help support them in that financial transition or just like bring over some food or like food banking with your community. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's
Mhm.
one of the main reasons why people stay stuck in these situations.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like there's a lot of real fear too, like shit, like not having consistent income. And
Oh
if you
no,
have
totally. That's a separate thing. That's even, yeah, that's a whole
like,
other thing.
there's a lot of like real scary things in that. And also I think that it is possible, and I'm it's scary, but it's important
Yes.
to allow ourselves to dream and want more,
Yes.
because that's how we create a new world. That's how we,
Yes.
into a new paradigm, is allowing
Yeah.
ourselves to want the things we want.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you open to hearing some of my thoughts about this thing that we're on?
Yeah.
I feel like something that if somebody, okay, whoever's listening, even like you and like I'm totally on this path, like if you're afraid of doing your own thing, being your own source of income, walking into the terrifying territory of you being the sole proprietor of your existence, the only word of advice that I have coming from 4 planets in Capricorn, 2 planets in Virgo, is you might have to confront your baggage around not capitalism, but like business.
Hmm.
You might have to just like confront your baggage around studying marketing, studying advertising, studying sales, all of this stuff that has been poisoned, absolutely poisoned. But it's like, can you take a homeopathic dose of the poison of the thing that's going to help you actually succeed? Is the thing. Do you hear me? Like,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I also have for Capricorn placements, and I fully agree.
wake them up, wake them up. They are going to sail you through this process.
And also for Scorpio placements, to say that, yeah, there's like
Mm.
shadow work to be done around that, of like this thing we think like consciously that we should hate, but subconsciously maybe like want. Yeah.
Mm.
So
Oh,
kind of,
exactly.
like uncovering like
Oh, totally shadowy stuff.
mhm.
Totally.
There's a lot of that around money.
That's money. I knew you were going to say that. Yep.
A lot around money. A lot. So I think like, but I want everyone to have what they want and need. So it's like, yes, let's dream big. Let's look into the deeper, scarier stuff that we're afraid to look at, so we can bring it into the light, and set it free and change it and make different decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, we might have to use some of the tools that we ideologically don't always agree with, like the way the economic system fucking works,
Yeah.
you know? But like for now, it's like that's what we have available. Like I just kind of feel like from my point of view, it's like I'm gonna go full steam ahead with the tools that are at my disposal while also dreaming of a better situation where we like all kind of sit down and are like, wait, is this actually working? Like
Hmm.
at the same time, it's a both and, it's a both and. It's like constantly doing both.
Yeah, I think both, and it will be maybe a good thing to consider for this next year.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, so a practice of exploring and allowing what we really want, what our hearts desire.
Yes.
And also for me, it's like what God wants for me too. And
Totally.
again, not in a passive way, just like I think Sai Baba, who said something about like, um it was like a prayer he was offering that said like, God, um or no, that God and like the mother will give you what you want for yourself until you want what she wants for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, I want what you want for me, and I trust that. And that's scary, people, because there's a lot of reasons of like, well, that's that's lazy? And then does that mean you're giving up your autonomy and your
Oh,
independence?
totally. God wanted me to have an autoimmune disease too, apparently.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
I think it's such a paradox. I love what you're saying. And I actually just had these words come into my head where you're saying on one level, it's like, I also want whatever God wants for me. And the other side of the coin is that our gifts are God's permission slip.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, the presence of your spiritual gifts, the presence of your creative gifts, like all of these things is the permission slip.
Yes,
You don't need to
yes.
ask anyone if you can do it or not.
Love it.
She
Yeah,
gave it
love
to you.
that.
What are you going to do? Sleep? I don't know. Do you know something?
That's so good. Yeah.
So you already have the permission slip. She does want you to do it because you have it. You see what I'm saying? The other side of the coin is maybe some obstacles that come along, like our health, right? Like
Right. Or
the
like this.
economic, like maybe the Trump who becomes president and shit gets really fucking weird. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like that's the other side of the coin. That's karma. That's like the law of cause and effect. It's like, that's all the stuff that just starts coming up and messes us around.
Right. But I love that. And I think like the permission slip thing. And then every time there's I don't know what like the quote is, but I feel like it's just some like spiritual thing that's floating around the internet, but something about like when you embody your gifts, then it like gives other people permission to embody theirs, or like that kind of thing. So it's like, yes, your gifts are the permission slip that then also allow other people, inspire other people to embody their gifts as well.
That is the gift of social media.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely do this in 3D reality too, but I do think that like social media has given people so many opportunities to see what's possible for themselves because they see how like other people are living. Like it's almost as simple as that. There's also plenty of downsides. I can write an essay on the downsides, but you know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah,
that's
and I
another
think
thing.
if someone is like pretty self-aware, then it could be a really positive tool for personal change. But like if
Mhm.
you catch the comparisons and be like, well, what is it about this person that I want? Like for
Oh,
my.
totally.
But if you can't do that, then it's just terrible.
No, 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 totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an option. It's like you
Yeah,
can use a knife to kill someone or you can use a knife to do surgery
that's right. Or like chop mushrooms.
or chop mushrooms. Yeah, that's much nicer. That's much nicer.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I have a question. I'm wondering, okay, so you're in your 20s and you're doing the DIY punk experience. You're starting to offer your services. You're doing music and performing. I'm wondering, like, do you feel like there's any sort of spiritual practice to performing and like
Oh,
making music?
yeah, certainly, certainly. That's actually the last few months I've been thinking about what do I really want and what's important in my life. And music has come up as a huge one, and one that I haven't like realizing I haven't given much like credit to
Mhm.
as far as how influential it's been in my life and has been with me since I was very, very, very small. I've been writing songs since I was like a small kid. And then performing, it does feel so good. So I have a solo project called Pleasure Thief, and I would consider that to be mm, the project where I'm able to be the most what do I want to say, make it more of like a ritual in its performance, and I can be a lot more experimental and devotional, so it feels like a devotional practice because a lot of the songs are like there's this one song I have on my Bandcamp where I wrote it and like I wrote the words as I was singing it, so it's like channeled in that way, and it is like a devotion to God. So there are aspects of that where, and then when I'm able to sing that live, though, it feels
Mhm.
I'm totally in like a light trance. So
Mhm.
there's something so there's lots of books written about it. They're really special about the human voice, like all of our voices, and so to then use that for song and to like manipulate the air around us and to bring something of ourselves out into the world through song in song and music as this like universal language, that we like, as that all people, if they're, have the ability to like to hear, but even through, you can still feel vibrations from music. There's
Oh, totally.
so yeah, I definitely would say. And I also do sound healing. So I do sound baths about once a month. And so that certainly feels like a way to marry the spiritual and the material.
Yeah, I also am like thinking about like what it's like to go on stage and like I feel
Mm.
like that also feels like a ripe place for surrender and devotion because you have like the jitters and I don't know, I'm just speaking for you. Like what is that like for you?
Yeah, I guess I've played so many shows that I don't really get nervous anymore, but I do get excited, and
Yeah.
I have my right, I'm a Leo rising, so there's definitely an aspect of
Aha.
performances like I love it. I really love it, like the being seen,
Mhm.
um, and like sharing the music that I write feels so good. And I also see it as this co-created experience, because if I'm performing in front of an audience, like with my band members, or if it's just me, every other person in the room is like affecting in some way how the performance is going to go. Like energetically, based on like how they're paying attention, or just like who they are, things that are coming through consciously or subconsciously. So it becomes this like really special collective co-created experience.
Oh wait, like almost kind of like feeling into the audience and then like reading the room and energy, almost like energy work.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Mm.
And I always say prayers before I perform,
Mm.
like
Mm.
thanking the spirits of the land that we're on, like that the show is on, and like thanking um, the like spirits of the people present, and asking for like protection and to be like free from interference, and also like thanking my guides and the deities I work with, and like praying to be a conduit for like divine like love and creativity. And so I always pray in that way before I perform, and hopes that it'll be impactful
Hmm.
for the
Hmm.
witnessing.
Hmm.
So in that, yeah, spiritual for sure.
Yeah,
And
totally.
sometimes, like depending on the night and the mood and the people and what I'm performing, I can it does feel like I mentioned, like trance, and maybe a bit of like it's not fully just me that's performing.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know what else or who else.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's like the ego kind of steps aside and then something else can come
Hmm.
forward.
Yeah.
Hmm. Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And so that's, and I am trying to make it a deeper part of my practice. Like I sometimes will do freestyle vocalizing, and that often is a like becomes a prayer, or like a gift that I can give, or a way for connecting with my helping spirits, and like my
Mm.
peers and stuff too. So I'm really interested in this, like how to access tools that I have like with me that I can carry. I don't like need too many ritual objects. Like I think they can be helpful as long as we know that the power is not in the object themselves. Um, so I love like breath and voice and song, because those are things that we have with us all the time, that we could use in prayerful ways or devotional ways, or as an offering.
Yeah, okay, back to like I was asking you like have you had to redefine faith? Like do you feel like you've had to redefine prayer
Mm.
from a Catholic background?
I don't think so, but it makes me think. This is the prayer that came to mind, that I don't remember when it would be said during Mass, but you'd say like, "Lord, I'm not worthy to receive you, but only say the word, and I shall be healed." And honestly, I kind of love that I have memorized a lot of like prayers from Catholic Mass, because it's like kind of tight. And there's a lot of like cultural references that are helpful with it. And also I'm very interested in exorcisms, and it's like important to know a lot of the prayers for that. But and so I think about the function of prayers in those masses, and a lot of it is different because I guess I have no context for how people prayed on their own. It was always just like praying these prayers you're supposed to say at this time during the ritual of mass.
Oh, like scripted.
Yeah. So as far as like Catholicism and Christianity go, I don't have reference for how other people practice prayer, except for the scripted prayer and the ritual of like a Catholic mass.
Yeah. Yeah, but it sounds like I don't know, maybe I'm like I just from what I heard you say is like you use the word like prayerful a lot and I pray before each practice. Like is that like something that you feel like you do regularly? It's just prayer, however
Yeah,
that is for you. Hmm.
yeah, I think so. And I'm not sure when that developed, like if it's always been there. I think I kind of have always been speaking out with my heart and like silently in some ways since I've been. Um, and yeah, prayer for me, I think it's almost all day long. Anytime I
Yes.
remember God, then
Yes.
I pray, and it's almost always just thank you.
Yes. Jaima is a complete sentence. Like
Yeah.
Jaima is like a prayer.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes. I was gonna say, yeah, for me, it's just like this constant dialogue, but I think that's something that only becomes possible when you really start to believe that you're in a relationship with God
Hmm.
and she has your back or he or they or, like
Yeah.
whatever. But I'm kind of curious, like, to hear from you, like, what would you tell someone, like maybe even your own client, like, what would you tell someone who is really hung up about prayer and feels weird about it?
Mm. I would be curious to know what they think prayer is and like the purpose of prayer. And then maybe encourage instead of thinking of it as like, because I wonder if people think of it as like requests, like which are like petitions.
Which is a legit form of prayer.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. To then start with instead of requests, like gratitude, like we were just saying, just like
Yes.
Jaima, thank you. And it doesn't have to include like the name of God or whatever, but just like gratitude as often as one would remember throughout the day to appreciate like even the like really absurd things like my God, this is so absurd. Thank you.
Totally.
Like I think those are the like really, really profound and through that practice of gratitude, you're able to like see beauty in like the strangest, littlest things.
Mhm.
I think that's like quite profound.
Yeah. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to practice when you're in the middle of like something super fucking frustrating.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Like before this happened, my landlord coming in without telling me, I'm like, I gotta hop on this call. What are you doing here? And then the reframe of like, wait, oh, thank you. He showed up before the podcast interview instead of during. Thank you.
Jaima.
Yeah.
Jaima. It's a complete sentence.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like thank you, like turning prayer into thanks as a place to start. And then you can get into, like you said, the dialogue because you have to have like to trust and have faith in that relationship. And then like, yeah, same. It's like all day long as often as I remember I'm talking to God.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm also thinking about myself and because I teach about prayer a lot with people because I think it's like the most misunderstood spiritual practice ever. And I always try to remind people to just be yourself.
I love that.
Like, because people think like, well, if I'm praying, I need to be like a little altar boy or something. And it's like, no, she made your personality,
Yeah.
right? Like she
Or
likes the
like,
way you talk.
yeah, that like, or I need to be eloquent. Like I'm not articulate enough
Mhm.
to say. It's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Or don't say anything. You know,
Yeah.
if you're not, yeah,
Feel.
well, exactly. Or project images, pull images up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that to be yourself. Like that's when it becomes most profound is when it's not like imitated, so it's interesting because though I do think that there are benefits to having like scripted things to say in a ritual context,
Oh,
It's
no,
just,
I have a prayer that I say all the time, and it's so powerful
yeah.
because of the repetition. Do you know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
right, right. So there's like, there's there's power in that too, for sure. That if someone is like not sure and doesn't like has
Mhm.
issues with word prayer, um, to figure out what they think it is, what is the issue they have with it, and then from there, like what can be, what can be done or changed.
Yeah, totally. And then just fuck around and find out.
Yeah, that for sure. Always.
Yeah, because it's an experience at the end of the day. The prayer is just like a tool that you use to key off like an experience that you get to have.
Oh, love that. Yeah, that's so fun. Doesn't that
So
sound
just
fun?
like fuck around and find out, see what works, you know?
Yeah, totally. That's like I love thinking it that way, and I am trying to not force it. Like I'm not forcing it onto my kid, but I'll pray out loud in front
Mm,
of him,
mm,
and that is also an important practice. So maybe for people that do
mm,
pray, I would also suggest praying out loud because it's kind
mhm.
of like stigmatized in a way, and people are like, oh, that's weird. Or like if you are someone that likes to thank the food before you eat it, but maybe you
Yes.
do it in your head because you don't want anyone to hear you say it out. Try saying it out loud in front of someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think this is coming to mind too. Yeah, this is a really good fuck around and find out experience too because it's like it's different postures that you're taking in prayer almost, where it's like a silent prayer has a different flavor and then an out loud prayer has a different flavor. And so it's like starting to notice how it feels different when you're saying it out loud versus saying it inside. Does
Hmm.
that And then sometimes you might notice in yourself, I really need to say this out loud because I mean it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean it. You know?
right. Yeah, so there, yeah, different feelings, different flavors, and different like purposes, and I think for me, it's like, and it's something I've challenged myself to do more and more and more is uh, to be more assertive, I guess, in gentle ways about my spiritual practices, like prayer. So like being like, I am gonna say prayer and like thank this food and thank the lands that it comes from and bless the spirit of those lands and the people of those lands. And I'm gonna say that out loud because it is important and I do want you all to hear that.
Mm-hmm,
Um,
mm-hmm.
and so kind of like in a way it's reclaiming,
Oh, definitely.
you know,
Yeah, it's like disturbing the peace.
it is, yeah, for sure. Yes.
Totally. Yeah, because it's like somebody's like, like what's going on? And you're like, no, you're gonna hear me. You're gonna hear what I'm saying. And
Right.
maybe it'll do something in your head.
Mm-hmm. Because maybe someone's like, oh, I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Oh, I want to do that some more too. And it's like, I think and I also think that God and like the spirits like to hear that.
Yes.
I think they like to hear it out loud.
Yes.
They hear
Yes.
us only too, but I think they like to hear it out loud.
Yeah, yeah, I think because like you said, like it can take courageousness to say it out loud if you're in public for sure. You're around
Yeah.
people for sure. But even sometimes when I work with people, they feel stupid. Like the
Mm.
prayer feels stupid, like they're talking to their imaginary friend. And it's like if you can just work through that, say it out loud
Yeah.
and work through that feeling of I look dumb. And the spirits respond are like, all right, she's with us. She's willing to
Yeah.
work through that discomfort. You know what I mean?
Mhm. And then like on the flip side of that, silence is really powerful too, of like
Mhm.
not coming in with any sort of preconceived like notions of prayer or like even with an idea of what you want to pray about,
Mm.
and then sitting in like that silence and stillness and then seeing what comes up in you,
Yes.
like, you know, to yourself. Is it like thoughts or feelings or images? That those can also be
Yes.
moments of prayer.
Yes. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I really have to pee. I'm not trying to rush us right now, but I'm just keeping it real.
Appreciate it. I expect that of you.
But I want to do a closing question where I ask you, like, what are you taking away from this conversation? Is there anything you learned about yourself, just like telling your story?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this, and I think part of it was like, so piggybacking on what we just said about saying the things out loud. I'm like, there's a part of me that for a while was like, I don't want to say all this out loud because it seems like silly, and I feel like imposter syndrome stuff. I'm like, that sounds like lame, or they'll be like, oh, people will think I'm making it up and things like that. Able to say it out loud this time and actually feel good about it was like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, this is part of my story. Um,
Yeah, like claiming it and just
yeah,
being like, yeah.
and then you naming like the presence of like grace in these people in my life, it felt like really good. Like I've expressed gratitude for them, but to frame it as grace feels really helpful. So I'm going to be like taking that with me too.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Mhm.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, grace is always there.
Always. It always
Always.
has been. Every
Yes.
lifetime,
Yeah.
actually.
Oof. Yeah, never not. Mhm.
Whew. Well, oh my God, this was so fun. Um I have a feeling I love to have you back and maybe we could pick a topic and we could just talk about it. I don't know. I
Yeah,
would
that
just
would,
love to keep talking to you.
yeah, likewise. This was so fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Wonderful. Okay, wait, before we go, what's your favorite way for people to reach you? Like if they
Oh,
want to learn more about you or work with you?
yeah. So Instagram, Starry Serpent, and you can also email me at Sevan, Sevan, Mercy, Mercy at Gmail. And my website is starryserpent.com.
Beautiful. I love all of that. Easy to
Cool.
access. Easy to
Yes.
access. And I'm going to ask you to email me the song that's your devotion to God on Bandcamp, just so
Yeah, for
I
sure.
can listen to it, maybe share the link.
Yeah. I'd be happy to.
I know lots of people that would love to listen to that. And until we meet again, thank
Yes.
you for
Yeah.
sharing your story. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. The information for the guest that I brought on today is down in the description wherever you're listening to this podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can see what I'm all about on my website, hannawilliams.com. That's HANNA Williams.com. Or you can catch me on Instagram at GracePilled, Grace Pilled, and I post videos and memes. That is a place where I am definitely the most active. And if you feel really inspired to dive deeper into my work, I especially recommend my Patreon, which is my massive library of everything I've ever taught over the years. And so I'll see you there, or you'll just keep listening to the podcast. Do whatever you want. You have free will as always. Thank you for being here.